Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Waterbury Board of Education. We'll begin tonight with a silent prayer. Commissioner Harvey, would you lead us in the prayer, please? In the pledge, please.
Okay, pledge allegiance to
the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Commissioner Harvey?
Here.
Commissioner Hernandez? Commissioner Pagano?
Here.
Vice President Rodriguez? Commissioner Stango?
Here.
Commissioner Sweeney? Here. Commissioner Carriol?
Here.
Commissioner Jason Van Stone?
Present.
Commissioner Tom Van Stone?
Present.
President Brown?
Present. Quorum is attained. Thank you. Next on the agenda is communications. Copy of communications dated August 30th, 2016 from Civil Service certifying Mariana Sullivan for the position of Teaching Vice Principal, Washington School. Copy of communication dated August 29th from Civil Service certifying Kevin DeGrote for the position of Maintainer 1. Copy of the communications dated September 1st from Civil Service certifying Salam Michaud and Diana Sears Powell for the position of Administrative Associate 1. Email communication dated September 2nd from CADE regarding policy highlights. May I have a motion?
Motion to receive and place on file copies of communications as read.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Public address to the board. May I have a motion?
Motion to suspend the regular order of business to hear from the public.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Our first speaker tonight is Jimmy Griffin.
Good evening, members of the board,
Good
President
evening.
of the board. Oh, you said good evening?
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. You know, I'm a little confused as to the Board of Education and whether or not we elect this Board of Education or the Board of Education is appointed by the mayor. You know, I'm really confused because I think that for some reason, it seems to me that this board is not running itself, that somebody else is running it. The mayor defended Brenneker, I guess. This was the headline the other day, and I cringed because we got a problem in the system when it comes to minority hiring, all right, that's been going on for years and years and years. One of the issues was in this same department we're talking about, the personnel department, where you want to now combine two jobs and give it to one person who basically I opposed initially for the position because I didn't think that a person without any kind of educational experience and, you know, college administration or some kind of administration was suited to be in this position with the kinds of conditions that exist in the Waterbury school system when it comes to personnel issues. Another area that, you know, bothers me gravely is the Personnel Committee of the Board of Education. On the Personnel Committee, you have not one African American out of 5 members. It's outrageous. I've never seen anything like this. And the whole issue that we're dealing with is about diversity, or the lack of thereof diversity in the school system. I'm running for state rep, by the way, in the 72nd District. And one of the reasons I'm running is because education is basically funded through the state of Connecticut, okay, more so than local governments. I'm shocked, and I've been shocked for years as to why our state representatives in Waterbury don't have a keen interest in the local boards of education and how they function and how they allocate and spend state money. With the recent statistical data that came down in relationship to numerous problems throughout the system, and as a former administrator at a community college, I'm pretty aware, and also a member of the Regional Advisory Council at the community college, Naugatuck Valley Community College. What I found is that students that come out of public school systems across the state of Connecticut in urban areas, when they get into a community college environment, they have to take remedial programs. There's a large percentage of students that are being graduated, social promotions that go into high schools. So I would be in favor of course, some kind of region exams that existed back in New York when I was coming to New York. They had region exams, and that's something I think that was recommended. But I think that they need to have some measurement of students that are graduated from these high schools at Waterbury that end up in a community college that have to take a year preparation in English, basic English, math, and reading. It's outrageous with all the money that goes into the school systems. So I think you guys got to do a better job. I think you need to do a better job in relationship to the fact that you are elected. The mayor is only the ex officio member of this board. I don't think that anytime I can look at this board visibly and see the votes on this board and how they go, it's amazing. It's almost like a rubber stamp for what he wants. Education is a priority, and we should be more concerned about our children in the city of Waterbury than we have in the past. And I'd just like to see some improvements in that area because something's got to be done about this. No people on the personnel, not one black on the personnel committee. The other day, you shut down a hearing. The president of the grievance committee, it's the second time that he didn't show up. What's his name, Rodriguez, I guess, or whatever his name is. He didn't show up. So, we were standing outside, no notice whatsoever, 30 people.
Please summarize, sir.
I'm summarizing real quick. 30 people out in the cold. Nobody shows up. The reporter was there from the Waterbury Republic American. It's a travesty. You got to straighten this mess out. It's time for change in Waterbury.
Not sure if I'm going to say this correctly. Is it Jim Duff? Oh, I see. Okay, that's your signature. Sorry. You can come again. No, I'm only kidding. Is there anybody else from the public who would wish to speak? Hearing none. Can I have a motion to return to the regular order of business?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Superintendent.
Thank you, Madam President. I'll be a little bit brief tonight. I need to be discreet in front of the cameras, fighting a terrific cold. So just I want to highlight, I've provided for you a chronology of some of the highlighted events, and those certainly will be on the website if the public wishes. But I do want to highlight Wednesday, September 14th, I attended the kickoff, a new initiative called Wingman at Gilmartin. The Wingman program for schools is a youth leadership program where students are encouraged to help shape school climate, and student leaders are trained to help peers to increase empathy and compassion while combating the root cause of rejection, exclusion, and isolation. This program is part of Dylan's Wings of Change, a foundation that was established to honor Dylan Hockley, one of the young victims of Sandy Hook, and it was spectacular again. Just a quick reminder, the official dedication of the Crosby High School athletics field will take place tomorrow evening, September 16th at 6 p.m. And on September 17th, Saturday, the 4th annual Dads Matter 2 Community Awareness Day is from 8 to 2 in Library Park, rain or shine. The event will include fun activities for all, including a 5K run, kids run, a 1-mile Dads walk, and other activities. Waterbury Litter Prevention and Beautification Committee is sponsoring a free electronics recycling event this same Saturday from 9 to 1 in the Sears parking lot. U.S. Senator Chris Murphy is conducting an informational forum for citizens that the same morning. A lot happened on Saturday. Crosby High School from 9 to 10:30. The topic will be revitalization of brownfields in Waterbury and how communities can restore and reinvest in these properties. Also on Saturday, the newly established Free Them Foundation is hosting a community outreach event from 2 to 4 in Fulton Park. The Free Them Foundation seeks to address the needs of youth who have parents or other caregivers with an addiction problem. Raymore and Flanagan is hosting a Sprinkles of Hope Community Day on Sunday, September 18th at the store from 8 to 2. Each child who visits the store will have an opportunity to decorate a cupcake. The company will make a donation to Give Kids the World Village, a non-profit resort in Florida that offers children life-threatening illnesses and a free vacation with their families. The U.S. Attorney's Office, in partnership with the FBI, DEA, and the City of Waterbury, will present a heroin opiate awareness conference for parents and educators on Wednesday, September 21st from 5 to 8 at Kennedy High School. The Global Leadership Institute is seeking candidates to join this year's program. Representatives have been conducting informational sessions for interested sophomores and the parents in our schools. The sessions will conclude next week at Crosby, September 20th at 2 p.m., and the Waterbury Career Academy, September 22nd and 2. And I also want to do a acknowledgement to the Mary Jane Vita Insurance Agency as part of a farmers insurance initiative that donated 2 boxes of school supplies to the Family and Community Engagement Center. The supplies will be distributed to students or teachers who visit the center in the weeks to come. And most importantly, October 15th starts our Hispanic Heritage Month. Once again, all of our schools will have the opportunity to participate in district-wide celebration as well as individual school activities. And that concludes my remarks. Sorry for the briefness. Just wanted to make sure I looked good in front of camera, not with Kleenex in my hand. Thanks, Madam President. I'll entertain any questions the board may have.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for the superintendent? Okay. President's comments. I just have one comment. I just want to thank all the parents who came out throughout the district to open house last night. I had a chance to go to Chase School and Generali School, and they were hopping. There were lots of parents, lots of communication going on, and it was really great to see all the parents coming out. So thank you all very much. We're off to a good start, a good school year, and we hope to continue that excitement for our students. So thank you. Next, I'll read the consent calendar. 8.1. Oh, first of all, would anybody like to remove anything from the consent calendar? Seeing none? Oh, Commissioner Harvey.
Just want to notify you that I would like to pull something out under the superintendent's notification. 10.1.
We're on the consent calendar right now, so
President,
thank you. Okay, I'm reading 8.1.
Point of
Request
order.
approval of contracts and amendments
order.
with various. Yes,
Point
what's your
of
point of
order.
order?
thank you. We were instructed to notify in the beginning when we wanted to pull something out of the superintendent notification. That's why I mentioned it.
That percent, when we get to that item.
I understand you're on consent, but we were told to notify you immediately.
I'll check on that, Commissioner, but I think you should wait to that particular item, but I'll check.
That is.
Thank you.
That is.
Okay, 8.1, request approval of contracts and amendments with various vendors for out-of-district student placements as required by their individual education program. 8.2, request permission be granted to Debbie Benjamin, WAMS, and 4 chaperones to take 45 students to Springfield, Mass. On September 27 to visit the Big E. Request permission be granted to Renu Shaharan, Waterbury Wilby High School, and 11 chaperones to take 25 students to West Springfield, Mass. On September 22nd to the Big E. 8.4, use of school facilities by school organizations and/or city departments. 8.5, use of school facilities by outside organizations and/or waiver request. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve the consent calendar, items 8.1 through 8.5.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Number 10, 10.1. Point of clarification, I don't believe that we vote on the superintendent's notifications to the board. They are just notifications. They don't require a vote.
They do require.
That's correct. I spoke with Attorney Wtby today at Corp Counsel, and they are consent and placed on file. If the board wishes, they can add it to new matter, vote that motion in, but they cannot take it off the superintendent's notification. Also, it could be added to another agenda item in the future, but when I reviewed the matter with her today, she said that the board does not have that in the statute to take that off, but they can make a motion to add it to a different agenda item in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 10, superintendent's notification to the board. Could I please have a motion?
Motion receive and place on file superintendent's notification.
Second.
Discussion?
Discussion.
Yes.
We do vote on the notification like we're doing now, superintendent's notification to the board, and there is a discussion. So I just wanted to clarify that. Go ahead. That's all I have.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed?
Roll call vote, please.
Yes, thank you.
Motion is for a roll call vote. All in favor?
Roll call vote is individually.
Commissioner Harvey?
No.
Commissioner Pagano?
Yes.
Commissioner Stango?
Yes.
Commissioner Sweeney?
Yes.
Commissioner Theriault?
No.
Commissioner Jason Van Stone?
Yes.
Commissioner Tom Van Stone? Yes. President Brown?
Yes. Motion carries.
7-2.
Okay. Number 11, unfinished business of preceding meeting only.
Just a point of
Commissioner
order.
Van Stone. Oh, yes,
just-
point of order. Yes,
excuse
Commissioner
me.
Theriault.
Just a point of order. I know we just voted on that, but it seems...
Tell me your point of order, sir. What
Well, I
are you
wanna-
questioning?
I'm questioning the procedure,
I
the
agree.
parliamentary procedure, as regard to the interpretation of the Corporation Council. If we go by the rule of what the Corporation Council told us through the superintendent, then in the future, we should not be voting on anything with regard to notification of the board, as we just did. That's my point of order.
Okay, thank you. I'll take that into consideration and look at that.
And another point of order.
Can let
Nope.
superintendent respond.
Actually, Commissioner Harvey,
Go
go
ahead,
right ahead. I'll
Commissioner,
yield
go
the floor
ahead.
to you, and then I'll comment.
If and when we receive any clarification from Corporation Council, I believe that should be in writing. So if that is indeed the case, we don't have that in writing. So I would hope that the superintendent, whatever was discussed in regards to, because I don't think it was the right thing was discussed, but whatever that discussion was, that we receive that in writing.
Superintendent.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. Yes, I mean, I concur with you immensely. I did not anticipate a removal from, well, I did and I did not anticipate that. I just wanted clarification for the notifications. I did some research based on the job description for the superintendent of schools that has the right of interim assignments. When I look back to the interim agendas, back on approval of interim principals, supervisors, interim chief operating officer, and chief of staff, it has always been under the consent calendar, and the motion stands. Now, I would be happy, in fact, Attorney Wtby is preparing a statement for the board. Didn't anticipate this, so you will certainly have that, and she is more than willing to discuss that further and further options that the board would like in the future.
Yes, I would recommend that we do, through you,
Yep, Commissioner
Madam Chair.
Harvey, yep.
I would recommend that we do, because we keep coming across this type of situation, and we are allowed to talk about it. We understand that it is an appointment and your prerogative to do so, but I believe we have the right we approve money, we approve policy, and we can discuss it. So if need be, I want to see what in writing, what Attorney Wtby has to say, but I believe if that's the case, then we need to change some things so that we can at least talk about it, and I think we already can, so. Thank
So
you.
just to be clear, your question is whether or not in the superintendent's notification to the board if individual items can be removed or be discussed as an individual basis.
Can they be discussed? I believe we can because of Robert's Rules of Order.
Okay.
We understand that we can't, I mean, that's an appointment, and we can't vote it up or down, but we most certainly can discuss it, just like the discussion that occurred last week in the workshop.
Yep.
We can talk about that.
Absolutely. Okay.
So that's what the clarification needed in that area.
Okay. Thank you.
Just one more point of clarification.
For the second time, Commissioner Thera.
Yeah, the other was a point of order. This is a point of clarification. So it's the second time.
Second
on a
time speaking,
different
that's all.
different interpretation of a topic. If a board member wants an opinion from the Corporation Council, we can't get one.
That's right.
We have to come before the board, make a motion, have it seconded, and voted upon.
Right.
I'm sure the superintendent may be in a different category with regard to the interpretation of the Corporation Council and the policies and procedures and parliamentary procedures of the Board of Education. And I'm glad to see that she did do her homework, as she always does, researching it and finding out which people were appointed, which ones were not, and what is the past practice with regard to the board. The superintendent does do her homework, and she does do her footnotes, and she's trying to do things the right way. Some of us feel that we're a little bit, I don't want to say hogtied, but we're a little bit stymied in terms of our power. It seems as though our power seems to be dwindling and dwindling. But that being what it is, that's it. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you, Commissioner.
So, Commissioner Vanstone.
I just had a question. I heard the superintendent. I want to make sure I heard it correctly. You said for past practice for interim positions, whether they be principals, in this case COO, did you say that's normally on the consent calendar or under the notification to the board?
Notification of the board, all interims.
That's what I thought you meant.
Yeah.
I think you said consent.
I'm
I
sorry.
wanted to make sure.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Not filling up to par, Commissioner. I'm sorry.
That is what I thought you had meant. So what you're saying is it being on the superintendent's notification is keeping with how it's always been historically.
That's correct. That's correct. Thank you.
And
Go ahead.
the second thing, I would echo both the commissioners. We clearly are allowed to talk about these items.
Absolutely.
The action that we're taking, however, if we were all vote this down, all these things would still happen. We just wouldn't have them on file.
That's right.
So removing them or not removing them is somewhat of a moot point. Right now, these items are not up for approval by this board. It's simply whether or not we're going to document
Right.
them. So
That's right.
I think everything tonight happened as it should have.
Right.
If we wanted to talk about them more, we clearly could have. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other points of clear? Commissioner Vanstone.
No point of order. I
Okay.
originally had my hand up
Okay.
for item
Are we on number?
11.
Okay. We're on number 11. Okay. Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam President, through you. So, what we just talked about, I'm going to take a little different look at it. I looked at a lot of different things and thought about a lot of different things about this item. And actually, maybe not influence, because it is kind of hard to influence me, what Commissioner Pagano said last week on how we shouldn't necessarily be in how the superintendent's office is run, but maybe what drives how the superintendent's office is run. And if the superintendent, the more I thought about it, feels that the people she wants around her are the people she wants around her that are non-bargaining unit folks, I think we should honor those decisions. Now, I think our role there is counsel and opinion. And I've had a very good open door policy with the superintendent, and I think most of us would say the same. Yes, the superintendent and I did discuss moving forward with this position. However, if this is the person she wants in that position, she should be granted that. So I'm going to change it to talk about budget, which is probably the main thing I bring to this floor each and every year that I've been here. We've been criticized for what we put forward in the budget going forward. I don't think anyone on this board has been criticized publicly more than me on the things I want out of this budget. I've talked in the past about vacant positions. I've talked about our leases. I've talked about our contracts. And I have been on this floor, as well as face-to-face, criticized heavily by other people in city administration about what I bring to the floor on where we should spend our money. Now, to this particular point, we do have a vacancy position for Chief Operating Officer, Chief of Staff. We have a vacant position for $155,000. We do, in this budget, which I did bring tonight, I don't file this. This is with me all the time because we don't follow this budget. We basically have a blank checkbook that we do not think of like our personal checkbook. As long as we have checks, we write them. We have a position for Director of Personnel for $118,000. We recently, with some additional duties, raised that to in the neighborhood of $130,000. We are now, with this new temporary title, raising it to $150,000. So when I do the math, and we budgeted for $155,000 for a Chief Operating Officer, Chief of Staff, we budgeted for a Director of Personnel for $118,000. Okay, that's about $274,000. So if we bump this salary up to the 150, 151 range for this one position, and we say we have not been able to bring in good candidates for the Chief of Staff position, we have now left a budget of $123,000 to go seek candidates. Simple math, folks. If we couldn't hire someone at $155,000 for this position, how do we even think we can go find a candidate for $123,000? We write this budget under great criticism for a reason. We should follow it, and we don't. Checks in a checkbook, write them. We wouldn't do it at home, but we have no problem doing it with the taxpayers' money. I want to see all the candidates that we have come through the door for $123,000 for this position that we can't find for $155,000. And I will not be waiting very long because no one's coming through the door. We need to start following our budget. We continually put in our budget for a vacant teaching position $55,000. Especially with the Waterbury Career Academy, that's not going to happen. Let's put forward a real budget. Let's get rid of the stuff in the budget that we should not be paying for. And I won't go down the list again because I'll be criticized again in the media tomorrow. Because everything I bring up is, whoa, that's my buddy, so I'm going to write that check. And the taxpayers are getting tired of it. If we need more experienced teachers that we need greater salaries for, let's stop spending the money elsewhere and hire the right teachers, whatever it takes. But to continue to do it in this type of manner, we're not moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Commissioner Harvey?
Still under old business?
Okay.
Okay. Well, I'm going to hit it on a different angle. First of all, the issue of our responsibilities as commissioners. If we, as commissioners, have employees that come to us, they've gone the route that they should go, but yet it doesn't seem like anything is happening or they're getting any satisfaction. So they follow the route and they happen to mention to us that there might be a morale issue. They have concerns with things that are occurring in the district. If we, as commissioners, turn a blind ear to that, then I wonder why we're in office. I do not advocate managing, what is it called? Managing, I can't think of it right now.
Micromanaging?
Micromanaging, thank you. I hate it that much, that's why I forgot it. Micromanaging. But if there are issues in this district, i.e. morale issues, we have to address those. And we have to notify, Commissioner Van Stone, you said that you walk into and speak to the superintendent. I did that. All right, I did that. And I'm not sure if I received any results, quite frankly. So I don't want to micromanage. I have better things, really, a number of things to do, but I can't turn my back on the employees here in this district, and I won't. So that's why I mentioned what I mentioned, my concerns about what's happening in this district as it relates to personnel, and I will continue to do that. Secondly, we have kicked the can down the road for a year. Paul Guidon has been out of this position, Chief Operating Officer, Chief of Staff. He's been out of this position for a year. I haven't heard any alternatives in terms of how we're going to fill this position. Last week I recommended, why don't we just look for a chief operating officer, or decide what we're going to do. Do we need a chief operating officer, or do we need a chief of staff? And try that. I'd like to know who applied for this position in the past. Were there Waterbury residents that applied for this position that had educational background? We were not involved in this process, commissioners. So what happened in the past? I believe we need to stop kicking the can down the road and decide what we're going to do. It's stop filling the position as an interim position. I also have concerns about the way we fill interim positions. I think there's some disparities in the way we fill interim positions, and we need to look at that. Again, that's now the prerogative of the superintendent, but I think we need to bring to light what's going on here when we do these interim positions. So I would like to see a plan of action. What are we going to do with this position? Are we just going to continue to do it as an interim and let the district run like this, or are we going to make some solid decisions on who we're going to fill this position on a permanent basis? And I'd like to also see if we are when another plan. What's the plan? Are we going to fill the talent and professional development position? When are we going to fill that position? That is a key position that affects our hiring of our minority candidates. So when are we going to fill that? I have not heard any plans, and I'm really waiting to hear that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? We'll move to number 12, other unfinished, new, and miscellaneous business. Commissioner Harvey.
Okay, thank you. Quickly, we all know we had an unfortunate incident that happened this week involving one of our students, and it turned out positively. A kindergartner, 5-year-old student was dropped off at the wrong bus stop. That's still under investigation. And I'm glad that everything did turn out okay, and I'm glad for the resolutions that were made to correct the situation. I was listening on the news to various reports about this particular story, and I learned that New Haven, the New Haven district has an app for their parents. The bus company provides it. It just so happened that I spoke with Jeff Hunter. We lost a mutual friend, so we're at the funeral, and we spoke about this, and he confirmed that, yes, we have that as well. We have that capability, and he is actively looking into that. And I said to him, let's not let this thing drag out for a year. So he is looking into this, and hopefully, the way he's talking, we might be able to get something of this nature up within the month. So I hope that's good, and taking into consideration
Sounds good.
the safety precautions. But what it would do is track the actual bus the student is on. So would hopefully put to ease the minds of our parents with students on the bus. So just wanted to share that. Next, I sent an email to Dr. Willett. I was at a community function this past weekend and was asked why are students, or why are students who live in the Park Road area. Park Road is the Western Hills Golf Course area, folks. Mm-hmm. Why are students who live in the Park Road area going to Driggs School? And I said, no, that's not happening. And so I bet a cup of coffee and I lost. It is so. We have students who live in the Park Road area attending Driggs School. Now, Driggs School is fine, nothing wrong with Driggs School, but my question is, how many schools does that bus pass to get to Driggs School? So the response was from, and thank you, Dr. Willett, the response was from Mr. DiAugustino. Yes, we need to look at our records. We need to look at our redistricting or districting plan, because that is true. So I'm throwing this out here. We need to look at this. We've talked about it. I cannot justify why someone living in the Park Road area, Commissioner Stengel, you know where I'm talking about, why do we ship them to Driggs School? So I will be checking into that. Lastly, I think we need to look at this, in fact, communication. This is one of the things that the ad hoc committee, one of the list of things that we want to look at, improving communication in this district. Specifically, I'm talking about the cancellation of the grievance committee hearing. We cancel all the time, and that is true. But there's got to be some way that we either put it on the website or advise people to look on the website if there's any cancellations, because we're not doing the public well by not communicating. And this is an ongoing basis. I'm not blaming Waterbury because it's Waterbury, but it's just we have to do this thing better. So I'm looking at ways that we can hopefully improve communication so that we don't have 30 people standing outside in the hallway expecting a committee meeting or whatever, and it's canceled. So I'll leave you with that. Thank you.
Thank you. There's no executive session this evening? Oh, there is. I'm sorry, I didn't realize that. I know, but, okay. Can I have a motion, please?
Motion to convene into executive session for discussion concerning the appointment, employment, performance evaluation, health, or dismissal of a public officer or employee.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.